Hey guys, for today's project we are going to be making a apple pie. Actually, we're going to make two apple pies. I have my pans right here, and I also have some warm and natural quilt batting. I just get this from Walmart. You may can get it from Hobby Lobby or places like that as well, but this is what we're going to be using today for our pies. I have also used muslin cloth before for these, and that works really well. But I had saw another crafter use this, so I thought I would give it a try. So first, we're just going to take our fabric, and I believe, let's see, I've got a different pan in there I may go grab, because with these pies you like to have, I mean, you can get by with a cake pan. I like to use the pie pans, but just make sure it's got a little lip like this, because you're going to be gluing and tucking that edge. Okay, and I'm just taking that fabric and laying over my pan so I can kind of measure and see, because I want, I don't want it right at the rim of the pan. I need some overhang because this is going to be raised a little bit with filler, and we can also use a little strip for the edge. So I'm just kind of laying it over there while I cut around it. Okay, and I went ahead and cut two out since we're going to be doing two pies today. So I went ahead and did that, so I'll be ready. Now I'm just going to take some filler, and I'm just going, it's like stuffing, like, what is it, polyfill, or it's in, just, you have a pillow on hand, you can grab some stuffing out of it. Just use whatever you have on hand. Okay, and you want that raised up just, just a little. You don't want it to be too high, but also keep in mind the weight of your fabric, it's going to mash it down just a little bit. And this will kind of settle. And you can, if you get it a little too high, you can always press and flatten it, but it's hard to, to fluff it up and get it higher once you, finish your pie and get everything in place. Okay, so now we're just going to, I'm going to kind of hold this in place, and I'm going to go ahead and cut around where I can have a strip for my crust. So I'm going to just kind of start. First, I can cut off those corners and kind of round those corners. Okay, and then I'm going to go in again and just keep your finger on that pie pan so you'll know how much room you have as you're going around. Because you want to have a little bit of overhang, just a little bit. I mean, you don't want it so tight that you can't, work with it. Okay, so now I'm going to just turn it and come back on this side. And you can cut your, like put your pan down and cut your fabric ahead of time, but I just like doing it as I go, just so I can, see how much fabric I'm going to need and everything with my filling. because I have done it before and it was too short and I had to cut it again. So all right, so now I can just trim. So now, you know, we have our pie ready. And then this strip, of course, I'm going to go in and I'm going to kind of start and just go along and cut those edges just where it's a nice strip of fabric. See, I'm just kind of going in and cutting those corners off, those squared corners that went around the pie. And now I'll just have a nice strip of fabric here for our crust when we get ready to do our crust. And that's what, you know, we're just going to put this to the side for that. And I probably won't need this entire piece, which I don't know. I probably will, actually. Maybe not quite. See, there's just a little bit left. But when I get to that part, we'll just cut off any excess that we have. And guys, these little strips of fabric that you cut off, I like to keep them on hand. You can use them for filler, or if you have, you know, a bigger section cut off like this, you can kind of cut it into a little square and, like, you know, use it, put a little transfer something on it, or find just something for, I don't like to waste stuff like that. Okay, so now we're going to go in with some coffee grunge mix. While I do this part, I'm just going to set that to the side. And again, this is another step you can do ahead of time, but I'm just kind of winging this morning. This is something I've been wanting to do, and I got all my supplies ready last night before I went to bed, and I've just jumped up this morning, and here I am making my apple pies. But I am taking my coffee grunge mix and I'm just going to rub over this fabric. And like I say, you can do this ahead of time with a lot of fabric at once and just kind of getting a bunch done at one time. But if you do it like I'm doing it, we're just going to have to go in and dry this fabric. We don't want to, you know, work with wet fabric. And like, we didn't want to have to worry about getting the fabric on our pie and then doing this step, because then you have to worry about this mixture soaking down into your filler and everything, and it may not properly dry. So, you know, you just kind of want to go ahead and get this done before you get your fabric on your pie. And I love, there's different techniques you can do for your apple pie, but I just love this technique. This coffee grunge, it just has the perfect color, and you can see those spices in there. But if you're not familiar with coffee grunge, all it is instant coffee. And it just depends on how much of a batch you're making. You know, of how much you use. I will put in the comments my recipe of coffee grunge. I normally make about a cup of it at the time. And that's a good amount for me. And it's, you know, it just all depends how much you want to make at a time. You know, depending on how much you're using, how much you're going to be using. Because it'll last for weeks if you keep it in the refrigerator, like between uses. And then when you get ready to use it again, you can just put it in that microwave and heat it up. And you're ready. Shake it up, give it a shake or a stir. Okay, guys, I think this one is coated well, and now I'm just going to dry this. I may sprinkle just a tad of cinnamon on this, a tad more cinnamon. And then I'm going to dry this with my hair dryer. So I'm going to just lightly go in with some extra cinnamon. And y'all, this coffee grunge also helps your pie smell so good. And that cinnamon, that extra cinnamon too. Okay, y'all, I have dried my fabric. It's still a little bit damp in some places. But look how realistic that looks, you guys. I am loving that look. Now we're just going to get ready and we're going to hot glue this down on our pan. And guys, also, I didn't think about it. I should have did this step before I cut off my crust. So now I'm going to have to go back and coffee grunge my crust and dry that separate, which it would have been super way faster and easier to have went ahead and did it all at once and then cut it. But it's fine. It will work still. So now we're just going to go around with our hot glue gun and just kind of, you know, just put you some hot glue. My hot glue gun's still not very hot. I got to let it heat up. But then see, you'll just go in and press that crust down right along, you know, right along those edges. You'll just go and you'll just put a little dab of hot glue. I'm going to grab me another glue stick, you guys. And when you're doing this step, if you have any excess hanging off that you know, I don't think it's going to be enough to cut off to have to worry about. But if you did, you could always go and trim that off before you did your crust. And look, guys, I've gone around the entire pan. Now, I did have quite a bit of overhang right here on this side, and you probably will tend to have more overhang on one side once you get it done. And I'm just going to snip that off just so we don't have, because once we do our crust, you know, we don't want to have like too much fabric hanging over those sides. And y'all, I think that is just cute as a button already, just like that without the crust. And if I would have sort of, you know, thought about it, you could kind of do the crust as you go, you know, while you're gluing down your edge somehow. So I might play around with that on my next pie and see, you know, because, I mean, look how cute that already looks. It already looks like an apple pie. Okay, so now I'm just going to, off camera, get my crust ready just to save time on the video. Okay, so what you want to do, you want to start your crust. So I'm just going to put a little dot of hot glue on the edge. And then you just lay that strip down. Alright, and then you want to kind of hold that down while you kind of bunch up your cloth a little bit. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. And then you sort of want to like make a loop with it. And once you get going, like it's kind of awkward to get it started, but then once you get it going, you know, you kind of get into a little rhythm. Okay, so then you'll put that dollop down, and then you want to, you know, make another little bunch. And it seems like you're putting down a little dollop of glue every inch or so. And, you know, what pie is perfect? You know, what real pie is perfect? So, definitely don't need to try to get it to be perfect. Because even real pies aren't perfect. So you just want to keep going around. Just like that. And, you know, it's okay if your cloth is a little bit damp. Mine's still a little bit damp. You can always, you know, go back and touch it up once you get your, you know, your crust done and you're kind of done handling it. You can go back and get that touched up. Just don't drench it. If you're using coffee grunge, just don't drench it. You know, you don't want to soak it. It doesn't take much. And another thing you can do to touch up is spray some the Mod Podge matte sealer. Just kind of spray some and then sprinkle with cinnamon. And just sort of like pat it with your hand. Just pat that cinnamon in there with your hand. And I may have to do it in some areas, you know, here soon so I can show you how I mean. And guys, I don't know what I was thinking earlier when I said, you know, you might have some left to just trim off when you get done, because by the time you bunch it all the way around, you're not going to have any left. And I might even have to go in with some more. I might even have to cut me another little strip and go in with a little bit more fabric for my crust. Okay, we've gotten to the end of our strip and we are short just about this much as far as from here to there. So I'm just taking a piece of that fabric that I cut off. And so see, you definitely need to save those little strips you cut off because, you know, you can use them for something. So I'm just cutting another strip and I'm going to coffee grunge it, and then I'll be able to fill that in right there, that gap we have. Okay, now I'm just going right in, and if you'll notice that's cut at a slant, and then so this is cut at a slant where it can kind of meet and won't be as noticeable, where we had to, here I'm going to try to kind of go ahead and bunch that up and put that down there. And then I can go in and just touch that up with some more of my coffee grunge. Once I get this piece put on completely. And I'm sort of trying to hurry this along for the video, and also just getting these ready for, you know, to sell for the fall season in my booth, and also on through my Facebook page. But you know, you can let it dry, give it longer to dry, because this still is a little damp even after I went in with my blow dryer. Okay, and now the last little piece right here, I'm going to tuck in on that end there. Oh goodness, guys, look how cute this is. Now I'm just going to go in with some more of my coffee grunge, and see, I'm just kind of squeezing out that brush because I don't want, you know, to get it super wet. I'm just kind of going in and touching up the edges of the pie, and also like right in here where you know, we did our crust, because we want to blend that in with the pie, because we don't want any cotton like white showing. And also we need to sprinkle our crust with some more cinnamon. So I'm going to get this and see, like where I was handling it while it was still wet, it took a lot of that coffee grunge off and gave it back that white cotton color. So I'm just going in with this coffee grunge, and I'm just staining that back up a little bit. I got it too wet right there. You just got to be careful not to get it too wet. And also, you know, when you get everything like you want it, and it's dry, you can just go in with that Mod Podge matte spray sealer and seal everything up. And guys, I'm going to embellish this with some cute cinnamon sticks I just grabbed from Walmart off the spice aisle. You could also make some cinnamon sticks, like with some air dry clay. Just roll them up and let them dry. Well, you may want to, you know, paint them while they're still wet, and with a cinnamon color, and then sprinkle with cinnamon, and then let dry and seal. So you could do that, but I'm just going to use just the ones I get from Walmart to embellish this, maybe with some cheesecloth. You can also like dehydrate some apple slices in your oven and paint those with like your coffee grunge mix, do Mod Podge cinnamon over those, and you can embellish your pies with those as well. I mean, just all sorts of things. And, you know, you can do little decorative tags like apple pie, homemade, and have little cute little words on there. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things you can do with these guys. And I love them year round, but especially for the fall season and like around the holidays. Okay, guys. I'm going to get this sprinkled with some cinnamon and get my embellishments on here. And I'm actually going to make another pie off camera, but then I'm going to get these staged up and get the final pictures and video done of this, showing the finished product. Let me know what you think of these. Let me know if you guys have made these or if you will be making these. And I appreciate you guys watching. And I hope you all enjoy your Saturday.